Hi, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com, and I'm with my mom Pauline today. We're making some key lime pie, and that's false advertising because we don't have any key limes. We're using regular limes, but anyway, you'll see what happens here. So step one, we are going to get some ice water ready because that's one of the secrets of good pie crust. You got to have very cold water, so get that ready ahead of time. Now preheat your oven to 400. There's going to be 2 bakings here. We're going to bake our crust at 400, and then we're going to turn it down and bake our pie later. So here is Pauline's crust recipe. She has 2 cups of pastry flour. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right, pastry flour, teaspoon of salt, and then 3/4 of a cup of shortening. Now we don't want to give a brand because Crisco didn't pay me any money. I just said Crisco, didn't I?
Yeah.
All right, so put in some 3/4 of a cup of shortening. And then with your pastry cutter, and you all should have one of these, you're going to cut the fat into the flour. And you see how she's doing that? She just kind of mixes the flour around with the fat and just you chop down on it. And here's the best kind of these rounded pastry cutters. They got about 4 or 5 blades on it. And once it gets going, you can just kind of punch down on it. And you don't want to go too much here. You want it really gravelly is the term they use the most. It looks like gravel. So once we have it to that stage, we are going to, in small additions here, we're going to put in some ice water. Now she's going to start with 5 tablespoons here, and I just sped this up to save time. So put in 5 tablespoons of your ice cold water, really cold water, and then with the tines of a fork, the top of the fork, she just slowly mixes that together. And again, like many doughs and biscuits and things like that, over mixing is what kills it. So she's being real careful here, and she's just mixing it until it just starts to come together. She's going to use her hands here. But the fork is, not as hot as your hands. If you use your hands, it would start melting the fat. She decided at that point that it needed another tablespoon of water. Now, when she got it to that stage, she decided it was ready to form into a very loose ball. Is that the correct term? All right, so she's just here kind of sweeping up any excess, any of the dry bits. And she's not mashing this all together. She's just barely enough movement to get it into a ball, just to hold together. Because what she's going to do here is turn it out onto the table, and that's when she's going to start rolling. Now on her silicone baking mat, all right, she put a little bit of flour, and she took half the dough. Now here's where I asked her if she was going to let it rest, and she said,
"No, I don't let mine rest."
She doesn't, because she learned long time ago before they knew you're supposed to let it rest. So we'll argue about that later, and you can read about that on the site. But anyway, she took half that dough, put it right on the baking mat, pressed it into a, 6 or 7 inch round with her hand, about 1 inch thick. And if you get it in this shape first, before you start rolling, you're going to have a lot better success. A lot of people put a lump down, and they try to roll it, and they wonder why it doesn't come out round. See how she made that round already? Then she can take her rolling pin and flour it. And now when she starts rolling, see, she really doesn't have much work to do. She's going to roll it both directions until it's a couple inches bigger than her pie tin. See, this is not very scientific. So would you say it's about 1/8 of an inch thick when you're done?
Between 1/8 and 1/4.
All right.
Yes.
So she's going to roll that out. Now, to get this on the pan, and again, you don't need any fancy baking pans. You'll see here she just has a regular supermarket aluminum pie tin. Was it about 50 cents?
3 for $1.
3 for $1. All right, I'm no mathematician, but that's 33 cents. All right, you're going to put half, fold it in half. See how she folded that in half? She puts it halfway in and folds the other half over. All right. Now, don't worry about how neat it looks, because as you see, she's going to just fold in the excess underneath. Don't worry how uneven it is, because what she's going to do is called crimping the edges. And you'll see if you got a little too much on one spot, you put it on another spot. And if you got a little bare spot, you just tear a piece off and cover it. Okay, the dough is very soft and pliable. Okay. Now here is the famous crimping method. You take your fingers and you push one finger against the other, and you make these little kind of scalloped edge effect here. I got the extreme close-up. She just had her nails done. Alright, and you go all the way around. About every inch you pinch your fingers together. Some people use a fork, but I don't like the fork because then the edges burn. You want nice, big, thick ridges. See that? Nice job, Mom. All right, now, what did you call this?
Fluting.
No, the edges were fluted, but now she's pricking this with a
She's
fork.
pricking it with a
But there's a
fork.
culinary term that doesn't sound as offensive as pricking, and we couldn't think of it. But anyway, you're going to take the fork and you're going to prick that dough so that you don't have any steam bubbles when you bake it. Another one of the secrets. Because what we're going to do is we're going to bake this crust before we add the filling. And there's your other half of dough. All right, so we made a double batch. You're going to put that in the oven. All right, on the meat in the center of the oven for 400 degrees, 10 to 12 minutes until it's golden brown. This took about 11, 12 minutes, and see how it's lightly brown. This is going to bake another half hour. All right, so that's why you don't want it all the way, but that looks nice. We're going to allow this to cool completely before we add our filling. Okay. So in the microwave, here's another one of Pauline's famous tricks. You're going to microwave those limes for about 10 seconds, and then you're going to give them a roll on the table, because limes, a lot of times you don't get much juice, and you're going to get twice as much juice this way. Would you have 3 limes there?
3 limes.
Okay, 3 limes. What she wanted here was about a half cup of lime juice, and she got just over that. And now let's get our filling together. 3 whole eggs, and 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. Who was that? How many ounces?
14.
14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk. And there is our lime juice being poured in, and there you go. Take your mixer and just mix that well. All right, and once that's all together, we are going to put in our secret ingredient. That's right, lime coloring, green food coloring. It's going to give it that beautiful key lime color. Yep.
1 drop.
1 drop. If you put 2 drops, you're going to have a science experiment. Okay, you don't want this to be green. You want it to be just pale lime green. That's hence the name. Pour it into your completely cooled pie crust. All right, and then you're going to put it back in the oven that we put the temperature down to 350 for 30 minutes. Again, you got to check just until it's set. If you overcook a filling that has eggs in it, it gets tough and bitter, and you don't want that. So this was just a half hour. It was perfect. Now see how that's puffed up a little bit? As this cools, see how it sinks down? So that cooled for at least an hour. You can put it in the fridge. You want to serve this nice and cold. We went traditional here with a dollop of sweetened whipped cream, a little shaving of lime zest, and that was really, really delicious. Anyway, you know the drill. Go to the site, get all the ingredients. We mentioned most of them. Read the article. And from Pauline and I,
Enjoy.